be interviewing someone who always leaves me a little bit starstruck. I know I've said this before with him because he's truly one of my vegan heroes, is Professor Andrew Knight. I had the pleasure of interviewing him last year when he released his groundbreaking paper in October 2023 that showed that if all the world's dogs went vegan, we could actually literally save the planet environmentally. And we're now September 2024, and he has done it yet again. He has published yet another paper that he's going to tell us all about it. But for me, as a vegan vet who feeds her own family dog a vegan diet, this latest published paper is confirmation to me and will be to all of you out there. We're not a big group yet, but we are growing. And I just want you to be reassured that everything you are doing is right. And Professor Knight is about to confirm all of that. And so a very warm welcome, Professor Andrew Knight. And thank you so much for giving up your time today. It is just so appreciated.
Thank you very much indeed.
And if you can tell us, so it's actually, today's the day you've actually published publicly your latest paper. So tell us all about it.
So this follows the largest survey that's been done of dog guardians so far. We included more than 2,500 dogs in this particular study. And in 2022, we published the first analysis of the health outcomes for all of these dogs. They were fed either conventional meat, raw meat, or vegan diets, with 336 of them fed vegan diets. And in that first analysis, it showed that the raw meat diets and the vegan diets were both doing much better than the conventional meat diets, producing better health outcomes for dogs. But there were very significant differences between those dietary groups. The dogs fed raw meat were younger than average. The dogs fed vegan diets were older than average. Being younger is usually health protective. So we wanted to do a follow-up study to control for differences between the dietary groups in age, sex and neutering status, breed size and exercise levels, all the things that could potentially affect health outcomes in these dogs. So we've just done that. We then took it a step further and we calculated for dogs with average characteristics, so average age, size, exercise level and so on, what difference would a vegan diet make to health outcomes. And the results are incredibly exciting. We've just published that study in Hellion Journal. It's available on Science Direct, and it shows that across all of the general indicators of illness, all 7 of them that we looked at, and they were things like whether dogs needed to use medication in the last year, needed to go on to a medical diet after initially being on a meat-based or a vegan diet, whether they needed to see vets an unusually high number of times, what the assessment of the vet and the owner was of their health, and so on. When we looked at all of those general indicators of health, we found that dogs fed vegan diets were between 14 and 51% less likely to have those indicators of illness compared to dogs fed conventional meat-based diets. And in all 7 of those cases, those differences were statistically significant, so they weren't due to random variation. Almost certainly they reflected true biological differences. We went further and we looked at 6 of the we looked at the 22 most common health disorders in these dogs. And we found that 3 of the 22 were most common in dogs fed vegan diets, and 19 of the 22 were most common in dogs fed meat-based diets. For 6 of those disorders, there were statistically significant reductions in the odds of those disorders occurring when dogs were fed vegan diets, and they were really big reductions. They varied from 50 to 61% reductions in the odds of certain specific healthcare problems for dogs fed vegan diets. And they included some of the most common health problems that dogs face, disorders of gastrointestinal system, ears, body weight problems, and so on. So this is really exciting news, I think, for anybody that is concerned about trying to maximise health outcomes for their dogs, whilst also be concerned for environmental sustainability, because we know that vegan diets have very large potential to produce environmental benefits as well.
Yes, gosh, Andrew, no, these are These statistics are absolutely remarkable, and in a way they almost mirror what does happen in the human aspect. Sorry, I think we just had a doorbell go, so we've got Rob barking. They do mirror what happens in the human space. I know you work closely with your colleague, plant-based health professional Dr. Shireen Kassam, and who's a doctor and very focused on the health benefits and the amount of billions that the NHS would save if all the people in the UK were to go plant-based. So you have almost a mirroring effect. I know myself as a vet, when I transitioned to a vegan diet, I feel so much healthier in myself when I'm following a whole food plant-based diet. I know you get your quicker park run times during your quicker running times. But it's so interesting that what your studies have shown how it's actually mirrored in our dogs completely,
Yeah,
because
in
yes.
both cases, I think it makes sense that if you formulate a diet that provides all the needed nutrients for either people or for dogs, using vegan ingredients, so that's plant-based, mineral, and various nutritive supplements, all of which are normally also included in meat-based diets with a whole lot of meat as well. So if you take out the meat, you leave the other nutritive elements and you add more of those to produce a vegan diet, which is nutritionally sound for dogs or indeed for people, you should expect to have equivalent health outcomes. And then on top of that, if you remove hazards, which are common in meat-based diets, and the most obvious hazard would be animal-sourced allergens, ingredients such as beef, lamb, chicken, pork, and even fish can produce allergic reactions and intolerances in dogs. If you eliminate these sorts of hazardous ingredients that can affect some dogs, then you're likely to see an improvement in health outcomes, because you'll get rid of problems such as gastrointestinal reactions, skin problems, and ear problems, which are a response to dietary and environmental allergens. And that's exactly what the studies are showing. They're showing that health outcomes are equivalent, and with respect to things like gastrointestinal problems, ear problems, skin and skin problems. I'll say that again, and that's exactly what these studies seem to be showing. It seems to be coming up across many of the studies in this field that dogs fed vegan diets have lower rates of gastrointestinal problems, skin problems, and ear problems, which absolutely makes sense if you consider we're removing the things from the diets that cause those problems, or at least commonly cause those problems. So yeah, we're seeing health outcomes which are as good or better, and it absolutely makes scientific sense when you just think about the ingredients that are being included and the hazards which are being excluded from those diets.
Yeah, and the wonderful result of all of these is obviously less veterinary visits, and a dog that will lead a better quality of life, a healthier, happier life, and a longer life. A lot of the studies will show, obviously, if you're reducing all inflammatory things from your diet, which meat being the top, animal proteins being the top, and animal fats being the top inflammatory concerns, you then remove the problems of weight concerns, you remove the concerns of cancer, and you remove obviously those concerns of inflammation with the itchy skin and the ears and the digestion that you mentioned. And the changes I see as a vet with the thousands of people I've helped now transform or transition their dogs, it blows my mind every time I get it, because it's such a simple thing, and I think the beauty of it is dogs really love this food. That's the beauty of vegan diets. Is the word vegan has the connotations of taking things away, but actually you're not. You're just adding in nutrients and goodness to a diet, and dogs actually seem to smell that the diet is complete, but you've got these delicious new ingredients. You've got nutritional yeast and carob and even fava bean protein. I mean, these are delicious things to dogs that well, our little dog is addicted to tofu. He goes absolutely mad when I open the fridge and get the tofu out. So Andrew, I honestly have to. I know I said this last time when I've interviewed you before, but just on behalf of millions, if not billions, of cows, sheep, ducks, deer, pigs, fish that you've saved, chickens and turkey that you've saved through these studies. As a group, we cannot thank you enough, but you've actually gone one step further. And this time we have to thank you for looking after the health of our dogs. It mean the world to us. They mean the absolute world to us. And to have studies that show that our dogs can be healthier and live longer, I think this impact is just wonderful. So just a huge thank you, and just keep going with your studies. Please don't stop. We love your studies, and we just think everything you do is just wonderful. So many thanks, Andrew. Is there anything else you felt that we needed to know?
That's very kind indeed. Thank you so much, and thanks for your help in, letting pet owners know that they can have health outcomes as good and potentially better with these diets, and that there can be enormous environmental benefits as well. That's such an important issue that we face today and will become ever more important in the future. The study that I published last year, quantifying the benefits, demonstrated some striking findings, such as if all the world's pet dogs were transitioned onto nutritionally sound vegan diets, we would spare more greenhouse gases than produced by the entire United Kingdom. And we'd free up enough food energy to feed the human population of the EU, which is important when you consider about 1 in 9 people on the planet are suffering from hunger and malnutrition. So this is really important, and I'm very grateful to your efforts and the efforts of anybody else that can help get this information out to the pet owning world. I do want to pick up on one thing you said. You said that dogs potentially can live longer. And yes, that was actually strikingly demonstrated by a study by veterinary nutritional specialist Dr. Sarah Dodd and her research colleagues at Guelph Veterinary School in Canada recently, when they looked at the lifespans of more than 1,000 previously owned dogs to see how old they were at the time that they passed away. And they found in that particular study that, which also was a large-scale study, that the dogs fed the vegan diets were living an average of 1.5 years longer, which is approximately like an extra decade of life for a human being. So it was a very significant difference in the study. It was found that the difference was also statistically significant, so not due to random variation. So it seems that these dogs potentially are living longer, and they are also having better quality of life if they're having lowered rates of gastrointestinal disorders, itchy skin, itchy ears. And the other big common benefit that seems to be occurring across multiple studies is a reduction in being overweight or obese, having mobility disorders, musculoskeletal problems such as lameness. So these dogs are having better quality of life, as well as living longer as well, quite significantly, according to that particular study. So it's hugely exciting. So yes, if people do want the best health outcomes and the best quality of life for their dogs and would be interested in cutting down their veterinary bills a little bit as well, then a nutritionally sound vegan diet is the way to go. And they'll also have the satisfaction of knowing that it's much more environmentally friendly than a meat-based diet.
Wonderful. Oh gosh, everything you say just gives us hope, absolute hope for our future. So yet again, thank you so much. And to all of you listening, I've extended it from all of you.